In this video, I'll show you how to make a unicorn granny square. For this pattern, you will need a size H crochet hook, some scissors, a yarn needle, a color of yarn for the background, a color for your unicorn, and black for doing the eyes. You'll need a color for the horn and a few colors for the flowers. So to get started, we're going to use just the color that you've chosen for your unicorn. So mine is going to be white. So I've grabbed my white medium weight yarn and I'm going to make a magic circle. So I'm just going to wrap the yarn around my hand so that I have a X on one side and 2 lines on the other. Then I'll grab my crochet hook, put it under the first piece of yarn and pull the second one under it, and then I'll lock it. And then I can pull this magic circle off my hand. And now I'm going to chain 2. And this chain 2 will never count as a double crochet on any of the rows. Now in my magic circle, I'm going to put 12 double crochets. And once I've got 12 double crochets in my magic circle, I'm going to pull that magic circle closed and then I'm going to slip stitch onto my very first double crochet. So I'm skipping the little chain 2 and just slip stitching right into the very first double crochet. Now I'm going to chain 2 and then I'm going to put 2 double crochets in every single double crochet all the way around. So I have 24 double crochets at the end. Once I have 2 double crochets in each double crochet round, I'm going to once again slip stitch into the very top of my first double crochet, skipping that little chain 2 and just slip stitching right into the top of that first double crochet. Now I'm going to chain 2 and in the very first double crochet, I'm going to put 2 double crochets. Then in the next one, I'll do 1 double crochet. And I'll repeat that around, doing 2 double crochets in one, and 1 double crochet in the next, and 2 double crochets in the next, and 1 double crochet in the next, until I have 36 stitches all the way around in row 3. And once I have 36 double crochets all the way around, I am finished with this round, and I'm going to slip stitch into the top of my very first double crochet. But on this round, we are changing to our background color. So whatever color you chose for the surround color that's kind of around your unicorn, grab that color, and we're going to finish our little slip stitch in that color. So I'm using gray, and I'm just going to grab my gray yarn. And before I pull it on through, I'm going to go ahead and go into the back loop only. So for this round, and only this round, we're going to be working in only the back loops. This will give a cute little edge to our unicorn's face so that we have just kind of a little border. And now we can trim our white yarn. And as we're doing this round, we can crochet over that tail end of the white. And you can see I cut also the magic circle yarn. So I'm going to chain 2. And in the first little stitch, I'm going to put 2 double crochets. So here's a 1 and a 2, and you can see I am crocheting over the tail end of the white and the gray. In the next one, I'm going to put 1 double crochet, and remember this is back loops only. So 1 double crochet, and in the next one, 1 double crochet. And I'm going to repeat that around, doing 2 double crochets in the next one, then 1 double crochet in the next, and 1 double crochet in the next, and then 2 double crochets in the next, 1 double crochet in the next, 1 double crochet in the next. And by the time you are done with round 4, you should have 48 double crochets all the way around. And once we have 48 double crochets all the way around, we'll once again skip that little chain 2 and slip stitch into our very first double crochet. Now on to round 5, and with this round we're actually going to start shaping our circle into a square. So to start, we're going to chain 2 and put a double crochet in this very first stitch. In the next stitch, we're going to do 2 triple crochets. So yarn over, insert your hook, draw through 2, draw through 2, draw through 2, and once again, another triple crochet. Now we're going to chain 3, and in the next double crochet, we're going to do 2 triple crochets once again. This is going to form kind of the beginning of a corner of our little unicorn granny square. Now we're going to put 1 double crochet in each of the next 2 double crochets. Then we will do 1 half double crochet in each of the next 2 double crochets. Then we will do a single crochet in each of the next 2 double crochets. Then half double crochet in each of the next 2 double crochets, then double crochet into each of the next 2 double crochets. In the next one, we will put 2 triple crochets. Here's 1 triple crochet and 1 more triple crochet, and then we will chain 3. 1, 2, 3, and in the next stitch, 2 triple crochets. And we're going to be repeating that around. So let's do one more side together. So in the next 2 stitches, we'll do a double crochet. There's 1 double crochet and 1 double crochet. And then we do our half double crochets. Here's 1 half double crochet and 1 half double crochet in the next one. Then we do our single crochets. Here's a single crochet, and then in the next one, 1 single crochet. And then I bet you got it by now, we're doing a half double crochet and then a half double crochet in the next one, and then a double crochet and then a double crochet in the next one. So we're just increasing the height and then decreasing the height of our stitches. And the tallest ones, of course, are the triples in the corners. And at the end of this row, you will finish with a double crochet, and then we'll slip stitch into the top of our very first double crochet. So I'll meet you there. So after our very last double crochet, we're going to skip our little chain 2 and then slip stitch into the very top of the very first double crochet. And now we are ready to start round 6. And for this one, we're going to chain 2 and then double crochet in each stitch around. So we're just going to put one double crochet in every single stitch. And when we come to a corner, we're going to do 2 double crochet, chain 3, 2 double crochet. And that is it for this round. So at the end of this round, you should have 48 double crochets with some nice little corners and nice even double crochets all the way around. So I'll meet you at the beginning where we will slip stitch into our very first double crochet of the round. And once we're back to our first little double crochet, we're just going to slip stitch into the top of it. And at this point, we are finished with our background color. So I'm going to cut my gray yarn. And at this point, you can weave in your ends if you want to, or you can wait until the very end and weave them all in. But I like to just weave them in right now because it just keeps my project looking clean, and I'm going to have so many other things to stitch on because we've still got to do our unicorn flowers and horn and ears and nose and all that stuff. So I just like to get rid of the yarn that I can so it doesn't get all mixed up. So you can weave in your ends if you want to and just snip that off. And now we're ready to move on to our unicorn's little nose or like little muzzle kind of thing. So for that, we'll need the color of our unicorn, which for me is white. So I'm going to grab my white yarn and make a little magic circle. And so just once again, draping the yarn over my hand or wrapping it around. So there's a little cross and then, or a little X and then 2 lines. I know everybody makes their magic circles different, so you can do yours however you like, but it gives a really nice circle that closes tightly. So we're going to do 2 little chains, and then in my magic circle, I'm going to do 12 half double crochets. And once again, that little chain 2 does not count as a stitch. So once I've got my 12 half double crochets in this magic circle, I will slip stitch into the very top of my first half double crochet, just skipping over that chain 2. So once I've got 12 half double crochets, I can pull my magic circle closed and then we'll slip stitch into that top of the little half double crochet. And then we're going to chain 2 and we're going to put 2 half double crochets in each half double crochet around. So at the end of this round, you'll have 24 half double crochets. And once you've got your 24 half double crochets, we're going to slip stitch into the very first one to close up this round. And then we are finished with this yarn, but we're going to cut the yarn kind of long so that we can use this to sew our little muzzle onto our unicorn. And I like to make sure my magic circle's closed nice and tight, and I don't cut the end of my magic circle yarn. Instead, I'm going to just kind of stuff it into the muzzle before I sew it on. So I just kind of put that yarn back there. I don't know why. You can cut it if you want, but I'm always a little nervous when I cut magic circle yarn. Always, no matter what, even if I've crocheted over it 100 times. Okay, but I'm going to line up my little unicorn nose along this little row right here. So it's the bottom, it's the top of row 5, bottom of row 6, but since it's upside down, it's kind of the top of row 6. So, but it's just along that bottom edge there, where the last row of double crochets starts. And I just sew it on, just up, down, kind of straight stitch it on. You can whip stitch it or whatever you like, but just want to stitch it around so the entire little circle is firmly onto your big granny square. So just up and down. I go through the tops of the half double crochets, just like this. And once it's all sewn on, you can take this end of the yarn and weave it in. Again, you can wait until the end to weave in all of your ends, but I like to do it as I go. It just makes a lot less work at the end. It drives me crazy if I have a bajillion little pieces of yarn to weave in at the very end. So I just like to do it as I go. And next, we're going to be working on our little unicorn ears. So once again, you'll need your unicorn color, and for me, that is white. So for our unicorn ear, I'm going to start with a magic circle. You guys are going to be pros at magic circle at the end of this project. So here's our magic circle, and in our magic circle, we're going to do a chain 1, and we're going to put 5 single crochets into the magic circle. And then you can pull your magic circle close. And now we're not going to slip stitch to close this little circle. We're going to chain 1 and turn it. And in the first stitch, we're going to do 1 single crochet. And in the next one, we'll do 2 single crochets. Here's 1 and a 2. In the next one, we're going to do half double crochet, double crochet, and half double crochet all in this next stitch. So here's the double crochet and a half double crochet. Now in the next one, we'll do the 2 single crochets again. And then in the very last single crochet, we do 1 single crochet. And that is it for our little ear. So we can cut the yarn, but again, leave it a little bit long because we can use it to sew the ear on. So there we go. There's 1 ear done. And now we just need to repeat that so that our unicorn has 2 little ears. And once you've got your second ear done, we can sew the ear onto our unicorn, the ears rather. So what I like to do is I space them out so that there are about 6 stitches in between. And since we went through the back loop only, you can see the front loops. So you'll have about 6 front loops in between your ears. So just grab your little yarn needle, and I kind of sew these similar to the way that I sewed the muzzle on. I don't do anything really fantastical here. I just kind of go up and down, just along the bottom edge of the ear so that it's nice and secure. So just up and down, and then I weave in both of the ends of the white yarn so that they're really nice and secure. I weave them in through the bottom of some of the white double crochets before I cut my ends off. Once you've got both ears sewn on and your ends woven in, we're ready to move on to our unicorn's horn. So once again, we're going to start with a magic circle. And once we've got our little magic circle done, we're going to chain 1 and put 5 single crochets into our magic circle. Once you've got 5 single crochets in your magic circle, you can pull your magic circle closed, and then we're going to slip stitch into the top of that first little single crochet to close up our circle on this round. For round 2, we're going to chain 1 and put 2 single crochets in the very first single crochet. Oops. There's 1 and 2, and then, oh dear, and then we will put 1 single crochet in each of the remaining 4 single crochets. So at the end of this round, we'll have 6 single crochets. To end this round, we'll slip stitch into the top of our very first single crochet. And to start round 3, we'll do a chain 1 and then put 2 single crochets in our first single crochet. And then we're going to put 1 single crochet in each of the remaining single crochets. So at the end of round 3, we will have 7 single crochets. To finish this round, we'll once again slip stitch into the top of the first single crochet, and then we'll chain 1 to start round 4 and put 2 single crochets in the first single crochet, and then 1 single crochet in each of the single crochets around once again. So at the end of this round, round 4, you should have 8 single crochets. Once again, we'll slip stitch into our first single crochet to close up this round, and to start the next round, we will do a chain 1, and we're just going to repeat what we did on the last few rows. Do 2 single crochets in the first single crochet, and then 1 single crochet in the remaining ones. So at the end of this round, we'll have 9 single crochets. All right, and to finish round 5, we're just going to slip stitch into the very top of our first single crochet. And now we're starting row 6, or round 6. This is our last round of our horn, and this one's a little different. We're going to chain 1 and we're going to skip the first single crochet. We're just not going to go into it. We're going to go into the next one, and we're going to do a single crochet in this one and the next 4. So we'll have 5 single crochets all together. Here's 3 and 4 and 5, and then in the next stitch we're going to do a slip stitch. So just a little slip stitch, and so we have some stitches unworked on this round, and we're finished though. We can cut our yarn and leave it a little bit long for sewing. So in skipping that first stitch, then ending in a slip stitch and leaving some unworked, it leaves the horn with a partially undone row, which allows it to angle a little bit so that when we put this little horn on our unicorn's head, it will angle up now. So there we go, and now we've got our, so you don't want it pointed down like this, no, you want to turn it so that it angles up. There we go. And that's how you'll stitch it on. And so I'm going to go ahead and thread my needle and get this little unicorn horn stitched on, and it kind of just gets centered right in between the ears on the top of her head. You can see right here, and I'm just going to do the same thing, just kind of an up down stitch through the horn and through the little unicorn head, and then I will weave in my ends so they're nice and secure. And once it's all stitched on and you've woven in your ends through the bottoms of your stitches, you can go ahead and cut your yarn, and then we're ready to move on to our 3 flowers. So you're going to go ahead and just grab the first color of the flower that you want to make. And you can grab any colors you want. I did mine in purple, pink, and blue, but you can do whatever cute little colors you want. But you're just going to grab that yarn, and you guessed it, for this magical unicorn square, we're starting with a magic circle for her beautiful flowers. So get your little magic circle there, and then to make our first flower petal, we're going to chain 2 and then double crochet down into our magic circle. And then we'll chain 2 once again, and then slip stitch down into the magic circle. And 1 petal is made. We'll repeat that. Do chain 2, double crochet into the magic circle, chain 2, and then slip stitch down into the magic circle. And then just repeat that, chain 2, double crochet into the magic circle, chain 2, and then slip stitch into the magic circle. So you just want to repeat that until you have 5 petals all together. So here's 4 for me. And then I've got 1 more petal to make, so I'll chain 2, 1, 2, double crochet into the magic circle, and then chain 2, and then slip stitch down into the magic circle. Then once we've got all 5 petals done, we'll cut our yarn a little bit long, pull our yarn through our loop and then close our magic circle. I like to pull the ending yarn down through the middle of my magic circle before I pull it closed. I don't know if it really matters that much, but I feel like it just puts all the yarn in the center so that when I stitch it on, it makes my flower really centered, if that makes sense. I don't know. Anywho, it's just something I do. So now we have our little flower all completed with our yarn a little bit long for stitching it on. And we'll need 3 of these flowers, and I've already got my other 2 made. So you'll just want to repeat the flower step so that you have 3. And then once you've got all 3 of them made, you just kind of want to look and see where you want your flowers to go on your unicorn. So I like to put 1 kind of in front of each little ear and then 1 in front of my horn. And that's about it. So I'm showing you it's kind of at the top of row 2 where I put the one that's in front of my horn. So I'm just going to stitch it on right there. And then for the other 2, I'll show you where they go in just a sec because they go just right in front of the ears. But to sew on the little flower, you can use a needle or you can just tie it on. I just like to bring my little strings down to the back, or the 2 threads, and then I flip it over and I kind of tie it on. So that's why it's nice to have those 2 ending yarns, your magic circle yarn and your ending yarn, and you just tie it on really well. And then if you want to, you can thread the yarn onto your needle and kind of stitch it on, but I think it's so easy just to kind of put it on with your hook and tie it on. So you can stitch your little flowers on however you like to do, but I think that this is just so easy to just tie it, and it's really secure because we're doing a square knot on the back and on the front this way. And then you will need your needle though for weaving in your ends. Now for the next 2 flowers, I like to put them kind of right where the ear meets the head. So right at the bottom edge of the ear, right, in between the unicorn's head and her ear. It's right there. But honestly, you can kind of just place them wherever you like them. It's not really an exact science. You just want it high enough to where we still have space to stitch on the little eyes that are going to go here. So that's all. But other than that, it really doesn't make a huge difference. I mean, you could even kind of switch it up and maybe just do 1 flower over 1 ear, or just 2 flowers over an ear, or whatever you like. You could, if you were making an Afghan, you could make each unicorn a little bit different. That would be so cute. But for this one, yep, I'm just doing a little kind of a crown of flowers, like a little garland over her head. So once again, I just brought the 2 pieces of yarn to the back, and I'm going to do a little square knot here, and then using my hook, I'll bring those same little pieces of yarn back over. I'm kind of going around a stitch so that it's secured there, and then I will knot them on this side as well. And then I will use my yarn needle to secure those ends really good. And that is all. You can see though, I wanted to show you that if you wanted to, just for a little added security, you can go kind of up, down, up, down, up, down with your yarn after you knot it. So if that makes you feel a little better if you're making this like for a baby who might want to be tugging on flowers and stuff, but your knots should be pretty secure if you're doing square knots. But anywho, once you get those little flowers all on there, we are ready to move on to giving our unicorn some little eyes. So I have all 3 of my little flowers secured onto my unicorn's head, and now I'm going to put her little eyes right here. So it's on round 2, and I'm just going to grab my yarn needle and some black yarn, and I've got about maybe 14 inches of yarn here. Just going to thread my needle, and you can see where I've got the eyes here. So they're on round 2, and it's literally just a straight line with little eyelashes coming down. So a straight line and then 3 little lines coming off of that. So it's going to go right here and here. So I'm just going to bring my yarn kind of up and then down to make a straight line across row 2. And on the back, I'm going to tie this so it's really secured, once again with just a little square knot. Don't tie it too tight because it'll pull your stitches, so you want it loose enough to where it just lays nicely and doesn't pull. Now I'll do a line here, line here, line here, so just 3 little lines coming down for eyelashes. Now this is always tricky for me, and sometimes it takes me a couple of tries to get the lines right and to get them kind of spaced nicely and looking good and all of that. So don't feel bad if you find it kind of difficult. I honestly do too, because it just is a little bit tricky because you're working through stitches, and just getting it to go perfectly through in the exact right direction is a little bit tricky. But once you've just got them to where you think they look nice, then you want to just tie your little ends together again. So I think that looks pretty good. So I'm taking my beginning yarn and my ending yarn, and I'm just going to tie them in a good knot. Left over right, right over left, a good square knot. And then I'm going to take these ends and weave them in so that they are secured before I cut them off. And then I'm going to move on to the next eye. And for me, that's the trickiest part, trying to get both of the eyes and the eyelashes to kind of look the same. So again, it might take a little bit of practice, and it might take you a couple of times of doing and undoing and redoing. So don't feel bad. It's totally normal. So let's move on to this next eye and see if I can do it. I am just finishing up my second little unicorn eyelashes, just weaving in the ends. So I hope you guys really enjoyed this tutorial. I had so much fun making it, and I'm so excited to hear about what you make. I think this would make such a really beautiful Afghan, but I'm sure you can think of so many other fun things that you can do with a unicorn granny square. So comment down below and let me know all about it, and I will see you all in my next video. Bye!